Good morning, Wall Street winners. It is Friday, September 20th, and it looks like a bit of a muted day after a great day in the markets yesterday following the Fed's FOMC announcement of an interest rate cut of 50 basis points on Wednesday in the afternoon, where we had a bit of a seesaw or a bit of an up and down movement in the market following that and waiting for the press conference. And even during and after the press conference, it kind of went up and down like a yo-yo. What we're seeing today in the markets, though, is in the futures, you can see that we've got the Dow Jones in the green slightly, but the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ are both in the red. But again, only slightly. I think we're going to end the day in the green, and we may be positive in the end for the week in terms of where the indexes started and where they end at the end of the week. But I don't think there's going to be a tremendous amount of activity today. I think most of that activity was seen yesterday. We did get some news after hours yesterday. So FedEx came out with their earnings announcement, and their stock has plunged 11% on their FY25 guidance cut. So this was the company's Q1 FY25 performance, impacted by lower demand in the domestic package market, mainly for priority services. So FedEx is getting hit. That's not a great sign in terms of where we're going when we see FedEx get hit. But FedEx has gone through some pretty major restructuring lately. And lately being the last year, and they've been struggling as an organization. But I think we've got a bit of a glut right now in the package delivery and delivery space, and that's thanks to the buildup after COVID. So there was a huge amount of investment in delivery and delivery services, including from FedEx and UPS and the likes. And I think we're starting to see that there may be some overcapacity in that space, and that's now being accounted for or being seen within the earnings and the revenues from these different companies. That release also pulled down UPS's stock, so it's having an effect across the board in the, we'll call it the domestic carrier or international carrier sector. Then we had news from Nike. So Nike came out yesterday at the end of the markets when they wrapped up and said that they are announcing a new CEO. And this is someone who has been with the company for, or was with the company for about, I think it was 31 years. Like, this is a big time veteran that they're putting in place to replace their existing CEO, which is John Donahue. So John Donahue announced his retirement, and they're bringing back Elliott Hill to take over for Nike CEO. That's going to be effective on October the 14th, and that is causing Nike stock to be up significantly in the post and pre-market. So that looks like it's good news for Nike. They're trying to get back to where they were years ago as a dominant player in that industry, and they feel that bringing in this long time exec with huge internal knowledge of the organization is really going to help to get them back on track. So I'm a big believer in Nike. I own some Nike calls into January and March of next year in the $90 range. And I think those are definitely going to be good bets going forward. Nike's down, or was down, in the 80-ish range. And if we take a look over at where it is today, let's flip over to the Yahoo Finance app. And if we take a look at Nike, it's NKE, in the Yahoo Finance app. This was a stock that was around $81 yesterday. It's now up to 87 and a half, a little over 87 and a half. It's got earnings coming out as well in 11 days. Now, this new CEO announcement won't do anything for its earnings because they don't even take effect until October. This individual doesn't come back till October. However, I think going forward into the Christmas season, into the holiday season, and then into the new year, this is going to bode very, very well for Nike. If you take a look at the 1 year on Nike, it was up in the 122 range. It's dropped down into the low 70s, down in the 71 range. It's now back up at 81 and potentially 87, 88 today. So kind of midway where it is between its 52-week high, 52-week low. But I think you've got a lot of potential here if changes can be made quickly. If we look across the board at the top here, you can see that crude is down about 30 cents right now. It's been lower in the morning trading session, but it is close to, or it's above 71.5. So it's close to $72. I think we could get up to 72 today, and that's a steady climb upwards. We want to get this back into the $75 to $80 range by, say, end of October. And I think that's definitely possible based on how it's trending right now and what's going on in the overall macro environment. There's obviously a ton of movement in bonds. I'm not a big bond guy, so I'm not going to get into that. But with the interest rate cuts yesterday, there have been some massive swings in that area. We are seeing the volatility index, the VIX, which is the 30-day out volatility forecast. It's come down, so that's positive. I was telling you that I think it's going to come down into the 15, 16 range. It's already down into 16. It dropped fairly significantly yesterday, and it should drop a little bit more today. And if we scroll down through our list, starting with health and retail, it's a bit of mix of red and green on the screen. You can see there with Nike, they're up almost $7 pre-market. You've got others that have minimal movements. I'm really starting to like alimentation Couche-Tard, or I'm just going to call them Couche-Tard, down in the $75, $76 range. I think this is a super attractive stock. This is the company that's trying to buy the 7-Eleven stores from the Japanese company, and they're struggling with that. Japan just put the company on a list of call it nationalized companies. So kind of like U.S. Steel, where the U.S. is trying to protect that company from being sold. The Japanese are doing the same with 7-Eleven. That said, if Couche-Tard can make a purchase and come to an agreement, I think it'll bode well long term. But this is a company that is very well operated, and I believe it will do very well going forward in the future from a retail perspective. Healthcare, kind of a mixed bag there. Transport, not going to touch on those. Oil, I think, is set up to pull back a little bit today. You can see it's mostly red on the screen. Now, that said, all of this can change as we get into the open, and we're about 45 minutes away from the open right now. I believe that if we see oil come back up to where it was, so if we take a look at crude, if we can get crude back up to the 71.95, maybe even 72 range, which I believe it can get to before the open or just after the open, I think oil's going to go green today and have a positive day. So there may be an interesting dip buying opportunity at the open if these stocks open lower, because I believe they will correct either by the end of the day today or certainly by midweek next week. That's my belief. I have no basis to back that up, but that's just based on the trends that I see in the market. That's where I believe it's going to go. Then we move over to tech. So Micron announces next week. This stock has been beaten up. I think it is an absolute steal at 89.12. I'm buying Micron going into earnings because I'm a believer that with everything, all of the other earnings announcements that we have heard, that this stock will do very well next week. So that's a big announcement next week. We also have AutoZone, AZO, next week announcing. We have Costco announcing as well. So that's another company that I would be looking to pick up shares in. Costco, I believe, will have some good earnings coming out of the quarter, and obviously very strong in the marketplace and from a market share perspective. We scroll down through tech a little bit more. We've got CRM had a great day yesterday. Now, Salesforce has their Salesforce conference on right now, and Mark Benioff, their CEO, spoke on Bloomberg yesterday, talking about what they're doing from an AI perspective and what they're showcasing to customers. And it's very impressive what's going on there in the Salesforce space. So I think there's a great deal of momentum behind this stock going into the remainder of the year and into 2025. So if you're looking for a longer term buy and hold, maybe taking a smaller position in something that you're hoping to go up in the next 3 to 6 months, I think CRM is a good bet for that. Scrolling down further, we had a lot of positive movement yesterday in a lot of sectors, obviously tech being one of those. I sold out of my Microsoft holdings yesterday. So I took some profit in Microsoft. It was up $7 or $8 yesterday. I was pretty happy getting out at 138, 139 in that range. And it really held steady. It didn't move a great deal. It just kind of plateaued at that level. And I felt that there's a possibility that it could pull back into the 420s. And I'd rather pick it up then and take my $18 difference in profit than hold that and watch it come down and lose that profit incrementally. We've got AMD. It made a great move yesterday, up $8. I think AMD is an interesting acquisition at 156 right now. That's going to be a $180 to $190 stock by the end of the year. We have Workday. Workday was okay yesterday. It didn't have a great day. It ended kind of flat. So not sure what was going on there. Lam Research, on the other hand, had an amazing day yesterday, up $33, up almost to 790. It was at 789. It looks like it's off a bit pre-market, but I think a lot of the semis are coming back a little bit today. I still think, especially on an $8 drop in the low 780s, I think Lam Research is a solid bet for great returns going into the end of the year. Oracle had a good day yesterday. Amazon, again, had another good day, but they're still kind of hitting that upward buffer or envelope of 190. They don't seem to be able to break through that 190 barrier. It's a bit of a glass ceiling for them right now. Tesla had a great day yesterday, up $16, as did Meta, $21. So Meta, I had a video on this yesterday. And by the way, if you're liking these videos, please hit the subscribe button, subscribe to these. I put out a video every day going over where I feel there are opportunities for you to make money in the market and capitalize on some of the narrative and some of the things that are changing, as well as some of the trends in individual stocks. So talking about individual stocks, Meta is a phenomenal stock. I absolutely love Meta. Big holder of Meta, and it was up almost $22 yesterday. It was up 21.15, closed at 559, so almost 560. I was telling you just 2 weeks ago when it was down in the 490s or low 500s that this was going to be a $550 stock by October, and boom, we're there already, and it's only the 20th of September. Now, what I am thinking is I'm going to take some profits on this and wait for this to pull back, because the end of September, early October, before the next set of earnings start, can be a bit of a choppy period in the market. So I'm going to take some profits, wait for a pullback, and buy back into that. Baba had a great day. Alibaba yesterday had a great day, looking like it's off to a good start again today. I've been a long-term holder of Baba as well. I've been crushed on Baba, be very honest and transparent with you. It's not all about wins. Sometimes you take some losses, and I have taken some pretty significant losses on Alibaba, but I'm still a long-term believer in this. The price to value or price to earnings on this, just to me at 22 times, this is almost a value stock when you look at this in comparison to others in the technology space. I do believe this will get above $105 by the end of the year with their next earnings release. And I do believe the Chinese economy is eventually, potentially Q1 of next year, going to get back on track. And that will only help Baba in that sense. NVIDIA had a good day, not a great day yesterday. It was a bit muted, really, and they're down slightly. I think they're going to come back up and probably hit 120 and get into the 120s today. Google was something that I said was my pick of the day, really pick of the week earlier this week. And if you'd bought into Baba at 158, you'd now be looking at into Google at 158 earlier this week. You'd be looking at a pretty significant percentage gain, and it looks like it's up almost $2 in the pre-market. I think this stock is going to continue to climb up to the 180s or mid 180s. So you could hold that, you could sell it and take your profits. That is entirely up to you. But I am a huge fan of Alphabet. Adobe made a comeback yesterday. So up $18. That was a good thing to see because it got slammed on earnings. Not that it missed on earnings or revenue. It actually beat, but it missed on its future forecast and guided a little bit conservatively and a little bit lower. But when I say a little bit, a pretty insignificant amount lower. So I think this is an oversold stock right now and worth a look. SoFi had a good day yesterday. It was up quite a bit, and then it came down, settled only 8 cents higher. But at 8.20, 8.19, I think that's a very attractive price. I am a little skittish on it right now. I think it has a little bit of room to pull back into the sevens. So if I were holding SoFi, which I'm not any longer, I've sold my SoFi position in the $8 range. I'm waiting for it to pull back into the sevens before it announces earnings. So its earnings are coming up on the end of October. So we've got a little bit of a runway, 5 or 6 weeks to that earnings report. And I think there'll be an opportunity to buy that at a bit of a discount going into their earnings. And then finally at the bottom, JP Morgan up a bit yesterday. Not a great day for JP Morgan, but a good day for sure. And Morgan Stanley and Goldman. So I bought some Morgan Stanley at in the high 98s, maybe low 99 range. I sold it yesterday in the high 100s, low 101 range, and took my small percentage profit there. I'll look for that to pull back into the 98, 99 range and buy that again. I did the same with Goldman. I bought Goldman at 492 about a week ago, and I got rid of that at 503 yesterday, making a tidy little percentage gain and a nice profit. And I'm going to wait for that to pull back into the 490s again and make another purchase there. So that's where we are today. And I want to wish you the best of luck with your trades. Have a great weekend. If you're liking these videos, please subscribe to the channel. Leave me a like and a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And tell one of your friends if they're interested in learning more about the market and staying on top of market trends. Good luck today.